Welcome explorers, welcome to the Fantasy Mapper. Today I bring you something very special, the kind of content I envisioned when I created this channel. Today we'll take a journey through the map of Middle Earth. We'll run alongside the Anduin River, climb the hills between Rohan and Gondor, and swim alongside the coast of Forlingdon. For this is an iconic map if there ever was one. But what makes maps so important, especially in fantasy worlds? They serve as a conduit, a nexus between the visual and the written world. Fantasy words are inherently visual, but in literature they exist only as words with no images, just your imagination. Maps are crucial because they provide a sense of scale and help convey the idea that things are happening elsewhere. So what is a map anyway? A map is a symbolic representation, a two-dimensional drawing that helps you understand a land. Maps present information about the world in a simple and visual way. They show the sizes and shapes of countries, the location of features and geoforms, and the distances between places. A map can display the distribution of things like settlements, mountain ranges, rivers, and lakes, serving as a graphic depiction of the world we live in. So, what makes a map a map? A relevant concept to understand is the parts of a map. Maps need some basic features. For instance, a map needs a scale, which this map of Middle Earth has. A map also needs a north arrow or a compass direction, which this one includes and does very well. Maps typically have a legend or key, which this one lacks, but it compensates by using artistic orientation to help you understand what you are seeing. Although it doesn't have a key to indicate what its shape represents, whether it's a mountain, river, or something else, it still conveys this information effectively. Another essential element of a map is the title or general location, which this one includes, saying, the west of Middle Earth at the end of the Third Age. This version of the map that I'm using, the one with the ocean depicted as a stripe pattern, is the one that Tolkien himself created for the published version of The Lord of the Rings, and it can be found in most editions of the book. This map has most of the elements that you need: a north arrow, a title with a slight description of the land, a scale, and easily understandable features and shapes. It successfully showcases places and landscapes. This map functions both as a political map and as a topographical map. But what makes it so cool? How did it become such an iconic and relevant work of art? Of course, the written texts, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and The Silmarillion are iconic, but this map is an integral part of that world. In my opinion, this map is a testament to Tolkien's genius. He managed to combine an interesting artistic perspective with a lot of realism, creating something that feels believable. It doesn't matter if Mordor is a square-shaped mountain range, or if the Anduin River runs straight for kilometers and then takes a strange turn around Minas Tirith. In reality, the Anduin River probably wouldn't make such a turn. It would more likely flow into the Sea of Rohan, as the terrain suggests. The lower part of the continent seems to guide the water in that direction, especially where the mountains form a barrier. The mountains of Mordor, too, might seem a bit misshapen, if you were to be strictly technical and scientific about it. But, in general terms, this map has a lot in common with real-life geography. It represents shapes well, and it does so in a way that is aesthetically pleasing. It's nice to look at. It invites exploration, and it makes you wonder about what's happening in the parts of the world that the author doesn't explicitly describe. What is going on in Mirkwood, while the Fellowship is in Gondor and Mordor? What is happening in Eriador, or in the Iron Hills? The map encourages curiosity and a desire to know more about the other regions of the world, even if they aren't central to the story. So what's good and what's not so good about this map? In terms of the map itself, there's actually nothing wrong with it. It has all the elements that make a map accurate and useful. When it comes to the land itself, there are a few details that can be nitpicked. But let's start with the positives. The land is well shaped. The coastlines are realistic and clear, and the rivers, in general, don't do anything strange that you often see in other fantasy maps. One common mistake in fantasy maps that this one avoids is having rivers branch out. Rivers almost never branch out. They always branch in, except in rare cases like deltas. This map does a good job of depicting rivers correctly. Another common problem in fantasy maps is the lack of lakes and inland seas, but Tolkien wasn't shy about including them. we have the Sea of Nurnen, the Sea of Rhun, and various other lakes and swamps, adding realism to the map. The hills and mountains are a bit more problematic, but they aren't doing anything particularly strange. They mostly follow straight lines and tend to have the same orientation, which is important because in real-life terrain, mountain ranges rarely intersect at all angles. Overlapping mountain ranges typically align in the same direction, as we see in the Ered Luin and the Misty Mountains, which share the same orientation, as well as the western part of Mordor's mountain range. The forests also make sense. In real-life ecosystems, mountain ranges often serve as barriers to humidity, storms, and rain, so one side of the mountain range is usually more vegetated than the other. This is known as the rain shadow effect. For example, in Middle-earth Misty Mountains, we see Fangorn, Lothlorien, and Mirkwood forests on the eastern side, while the western side is less vegetated. The Ered Luin follows a similar pattern, with the western side being lusher due to the proximity to the sea, which brings humidity. Overall, the land is well-shaped and believable, though there are some minor issues with the mountain ranges and the flow of rivers that might not align perfectly well with what would happen in the real world. However, it is challenging to say for sure without field data, such as altitude comparison between regions. The shape of the mountains suggests certain things, but that is all we can infer. In conclusion, this is a great map, and that's why it has endured and become so iconic. It draws heavily from real-world geography, but adds just enough magic to make it intriguing. It sparks your imagination without overwhelming you with bizarre shapes or impossible features. So there you have it, a quick walk through the land of Middle-earth. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments what is your favorite part of Tolkien's map and what you think of this analysis. As always, if you are interested in this kind of content, like and subscribe, it helps a lot. Stay tuned for more and keep exploring, both in real life and in fantasy worlds.